Before. Thank you very much indeed, Max. Always that nervy atmosphere down in the tunnel. Any match against Brazil is special for a player, isn't it?
Spot on, Ian. But the big storyline is the Mexico game, October 10th. Well, if you're going to play a team to get up for it and get the emotions high, this is the opponent you want. You don't want a CONCACAF opponent. You want Brazil. Mexico's playing Argentina. We got two great friendlies here tonight.
And that's one thing with Brazil. For them, nothing is a friendly. They live under a huge media glare where every performance is scrutinized. It really did burn the very soul of the game in that country when they lost 7-1 at home, astonishingly, in that World Cup semi-final against Germany. Still rebuilding after that. But they did come a cropper in the quarterfinals of the Copa America as well. And as Max was telling you, the USA just can't seem to find a way to beat Brazil. They've lost the last 9 times they've played them. The only time they've won was 1998 Gold Cup semi-final in Los Angeles, and Preki got the winner. Remember that?
Well, I remember Casey Keller making, I think, 1,100 saves that night, standing on his head, which he is in this stadium tonight.
Yeah, had some game there, didn't he? We shouldn't keep boosting him up, though, should we?
No, we're done.
There's David Luiz. Part of that Brazil side which suffered that humiliation against the Germans. They, of course, Brazil, are leading up to their World Cup qualifying campaign, which starts very, very soon now. USA still in something of an experimental phase, but that experimentation has to end pretty quickly now with that massive game against Mexico on October the 10th. Going to be a special presentation, by the way. Free kickoff for Michael Bradley to mark his 100th cap. That was a while ago. He's up to 106. In fact, that's going to happen now. Let's go over to our PA, John Rook.
Ladies and gentlemen, please turn to midfield for a special presentation. Michael Bradley played his 100th career match for his country on July 7th against Honduras. Michael becomes the 16th male player in U.S. history to hit the century mark. Here to recognize this accomplishment, please welcome U.S. Soccer President Sunil Gumati as he presents Michael with a special gift from U.S. Soccer commemorating his 100th match for the U.S. national team. Ladies and gentlemen, the USA's newest member of the Century Cap Club, Michael Bradley.
Well, he's been a fantastic servant, hasn't he?
And what a moment for his family. His wife Amanda, his kid Luca and Quinn, his 2 sisters Carrie and Ryan, and I can guarantee you one thing. His mom Lindsay and his dad Bob are watching somewhere in Europe at 3 o'clock in the morning. What a great moment for the Bradleys.
Yeah, his dad, the former coach, of course, of the USA. I have a feeling that Michael might one day be a future coach.
That's a long time down the road, Ian.
Yeah, he hopes so. National anthems, of course, of the 2 competing nations coming up first of all.
For the national anthem of Brazil. supporters groups in singing the Star-Spangled Banner.
Good atmosphere, and the USA might feel they're away from home tonight. There are thousands of Brazil supporters. So the USA against the 5 times world champions here, and with the USA you've got to expect the unexpected. It really has been a topsy-turvy old summer, hasn't it?
It's been interesting, Ian. When you look at their summer, they've gone to Europe, they've won against Netherlands, they won against Germany, they beat Peru Friday night, who finished 3rd in Copa America, but they dropped the ball when they lost to Jamaica in the Gold Cup semifinal. Ian, we are here for a U.S.-Brazil game, and it's a tune-up game for U.S.-Mexico in October. Jurgen Klinsmann, ton of questions coming into tonight. How many of those are answered? That's the big storyline.
And it is a glamour game, I think, in its own right as well. Let's have a look at the USA team. 3 changes from the team which beat Peru on Friday. Michael Bradley is back as captain. Ventura Alvarado in defence. Jeff Cameron back on home territory. He grew up about 10 minutes down the road from here, in at right back tonight. So those are the players in the side there.
First time since the World Cup we see Bradley and Jones in the midfield, but all eyes will be on the first time Orozco and Alvarado have played together for the United States.
Jurgen Klinsmann, that was a horrible defeat against Jamaica. A game the USA needed to win. He's under a little bit of pressure, isn't he, just at the moment?
Listen, Sunil Gulati can give all the confidence in the world he wants to, but pressure snowballs, and even Klinsmann knows that. We may be at the tipping point October 11th after the Mexico game in California.
Brazil in some kind of transition. Bit of a story about Neymar, of course, the star player, who says he's not willing to be a substitute, but he's had mumps recently. He's banned from their first 2 World Cup qualifiers, so he's not in again tonight.
No, but a staple under Dunga is 2 defensive midfielders with Gustavo and Elias, but no Neymar? Okay, Douglas Costa, who's lit it up for Bayern Munich. Jeff Cameron has his hands full.
Dunga, the captain of Brazil when they won the World Cup in the United States in 1994, back for a second spell.
Pragmatic, isn't he?
Don't expect Samba football.
No, he's been brought in to bring some order. He's very pragmatic. We see it with his lineup. He'll attack with 4 or 5, but a staple under Dunga is defending with that block of 6.
But Brazil still a very, very decent side. The USA with a bit of extra pace out wide, though, Taylor.
They do, Ian, which is the subject of my Continental Tire Analyst Corner. Over a year ago at the World Cup, Klinsmann saw his team needed to be younger, more athletic, especially out wide when they defend for long periods of time. In 2015, he's given Zardes and Yedlin an opportunity to gain experience and to showcase their ability. Tonight, in front of Cameron and Ream, they have to be a major threat if the United States want to win this game right here in Foxborough, Massachusetts.
Just about ready to go here. The referee from El Salvador, Joel Aguilar, and he's a bit of a story. Slightly different conditions from when he handled the famous snow Classico when the USA beat Costa Rica in what seemed to us nearly a foot of snow. Don't know how that game ever got completed, but it did. And Jurgen Klinsmann was mighty happy about it. Brazil, of course, in their famous yellow shirts, looking to rebuild and to get Hulk in behind there. It's interesting, though, central defensive pair tonight for the USA. Orozco and Alvarado have never played together before. Bit of a risk against the most successful football nation in the history of the game. Here's Bradley. Taylor, what the USA don't need here is a real mauling at the hands of Brazil going into that big Mexico game.
No, but I look at it on the other side. If they come out and step right to Brazil from the onset and maybe make this a game early on, then the upside is even bigger October 10th against Mexico. Just to come here tonight, sit in, defend, and weather the storm, that's not going to do the job for Jurgen Klinsmann or the United States.
This game, remember, part of a big double bill for you tonight on ESPN2 because Mexico faced Argentina with us a bit later on. Now then, here is the dangerous Douglas Costa of Bayern Munich. He's really been electric for them early on in the season, and he's a danger man. He's playing in the Neymar position too. The goalkeeper is making only his second appearance, another Marcelo, not to be confused with the more famous left back from Real Madrid. Lovely crossfield ball again to find Douglas Costa. Cameron might have his hands full with him. And his return to the starting lineup. Lovely ball from Marcelo. Lucas Lima, another of the new boys. Here's Douglas Costa again. It's a fast start, this from Brazil. Can it be a fast counter now for the USA? That's on. Lovely piece of work from Altidore. Fed Yedlin, and his pass was a poor one behind Bradley, but the free kick's been given the USA's way for a foul on Altidore.
Just so vital for the United States that Jozy Altidore, with his back to goal, can keep possession. They didn't have this in the World Cup when Jozy Altidore got injured. They didn't have it in the Gold Cup when he was sent home early. When you're under pressure the way the United States will be tonight defensively, Jozy Altidore has to be your outlet. Well done.
2 goals against Peru to turn the game around the other night. Good boost that for Jozy Altidore, now of course with Toronto playing Major League Soccer. There's Elias. Experienced campaigner brought into the midfield tonight, but they've lost possession here. Bradley's got Altidore to his left. There's something on here for the USA. In the end, Miranda and Fabinho between them crowded him out. Only a third cap for the gangling right back, Fabinho, who's just got the nod over Danilo tonight. Dani Alves is currently injured. Hulk up front. Orozco's clearance. The stadium not completely full. There's been a bit of a row about the ticket prices.
Ticket prices were way too expensive, Ian. Start of the school time here in Foxborough, Massachusetts. This crowd easily should have been over 50,000.
Lovely play again here from the USA. Bradley with the attacking midfield role and relishing it by the look of things. He's in the middle of the 3 behind Altidore with license at times to forge on past him. Here's Jermaine Jones playing on his home ground here. New England Revolution player, of course. Now Zardes. He's one new wave player who has come through to establish himself, the LA man. Can't reach that one though. Now, he's been interesting, hasn't he, this fella?
Well, there's been tons of discussion. What's his best position? Is it up front like we saw last year with the LA Galaxy, or is it this way with Jurgen Klinsmann? And this year, now that Dos Santos is with the LA Galaxy, in an out wide position. For the first time in a long time, the United States, Ian, have 2 players out wide that can open up the game with Yedlin and Zardes. I think Zardes wide is the right spot at the present moment for the United States.
Certainly has featured in all but one of the last 15 games since he came in. And the one he missed was one that didn't matter much, the 3rd place playoff at the end of the Gold Cup. Now William, the Chelsea midfield player. Here's Hulk. Got the winner the other night against Costa Rica at the Red Bull Arena. Willian again. There's plenty of class, as always, around the Brazilian side. Luis Gustavo out to Marcelo on his rather weaker right foot, and I think it might have showed there.
Just the tempo that Brazil gets after you, Ian, it's explosive. Whether it's Willian in the middle, whether it's Marcelo pushing forward, close to wide, Hulk up front. A real test for this back four of the United States tonight.
It's a bit of a sink or swim job, isn't it, for the two central defenders as well. Klinsmann will find out plenty about whether they can cut it against some of the top teams. No Omar Gonzalez in the starting lineup. John Brooks has been starting a lot recently, out of this game with a hamstring injury. He's been sent home. Jones trying to get Altidore to run on one behind. And he was terrific at the World Cup, Jermaine Jones. It's a question of whether he can last, really, at this sort of level through to the next World Cup when he'll be 36.
And it's also in a season where he's had 2 groin surgeries, Ian. So Jurgen Klinsmann has to be extremely careful, not only tonight, but over the next 2-3 weeks with the New England Revolution, that he's peaking October 10th against Mexico.
Yeah.
When you have an inexperienced back line at center back, you have questions. The most important player then is the guy in front of him.
I think he'll only play an hour tonight, Taylor. You can see what Marcelo was trying to do there. He was trying to pick up the run of Douglas Costa. And that was a latish challenge from Jermaine Jones.
And just so much talk about the 2 center backs for the United States. Alvarado has been applauded by Jurgen Klinsmann between the years. He reads the game, he reads the passing lanes, doing a good job here behind his partner Orozco of picking out that pass and then immediately picking up his head and finding Josie Altidore's feet. A lot of question marks around Alvarado. Is he a defender first? Does he have that defender first mentality? We saw it in the Gold Cup. I didn't think he was good enough. Technically, he's a clean player, smart player. But listen, against Mexico, against the Brazils of the world, the Colombias, the Belgiums, you want 2 center backs that defend first.
We'll find out more tonight. Here's for the successful Club America side in Mexico. Here's Miranda, very unlucky to be not in Brazil's World Cup squad. They are playing a lot of long balls, attempted long balls, over the top rather than through the midfield. Brazil here. Been a big rethink, of course, in Brazil after the, well, calamitous events in their own World Cup when they almost drowned in their own tears, it seemed to me. Here's William. Strong run from him. Oh, and he's hit the post. He's come out again. Holt, 1-0. Him again. Brazil ahead within 9 minutes. Well, it seemed, or Brad Guzan, I think, thought that cross was drifting out of play. Instead, it hit the post and came out to Hulk, who buried it.
But Jurgen Klinsmann said 3 years ago in D.C. before the Brazil friendly, they are the best team to assess your players at the highest level. That is the 2nd time in the first 9 minutes. Williams blown right by Bedoya. You have to man up. You have to be on your toes. Otherwise, those players from Brazil will expose your inadequacies as a defender. William does a wonderful job. Hulk on his toes. Early goal puts Brazil up here.
He's in form just at the moment as well, Hulk. He was the not so incredible Hulk at the World Cup, that's for certain. He scored last Friday at around this time in the game, by the way, and he scored again here. And he's been banging in a few for his club, Zenit St. Petersburg as well. The USA punished early. Willian allowed to get the better of first Bedoya and then Tim Ream. Not only have a friendly label, but believe me, I've seen Brazil in a lot of friendlies over the years, and they do go for it. They don't like getting beaten in any kind of game at all. Because if they are beaten, there's a huge inquest back home about it. Willian, who set up the goal, And he's really looked good early on. Here he is again now, the Chelsea man. Trying to find Douglas Costa, and, well, this is a degree course for some of those defenders back there for the US. Tim Marine, really a central defender being used at the left back. He was pretty good against Peru the other night. Plays for Fulham now in the Championship in England, the second tier. Here's Altidore. Now Bradley. 1-0 down, but here's something. The USA have scored in all 20 games they've played in since the World Cup. Here's Jeff Cameron. Nice little flick. Yedlin's pace got in there. Altidore! Oh, it's a terrific attack from the USA, and it deserved better.
Just great work, though, here with Jeff Cameron and DeAndre Yedlin. Combination play, and that is why DeAndre Yedlin's playing as a right midfielder, more as a winger. When everything's in front of him, Ian, he's much better. When he's a defender, and he's got to think about that runner behind him, that's his Achilles heel. That run right there is the reason why DeAndre Yedlin has been given 15 caps in 2015.
Certainly played more for his country than he has in club football. Hasn't had a look in at Spurs. He's gone to Sunderland now, where his chances would be better, but I wouldn't think he'd go straight in the side there, if I'm honest with you.
But look at the movement he has. He realizes Jeff Cameron steps forward, so now he makes an overlapping run on the inside. That's great recognition from a young kid in DeAndre Yedlin. When everything's attacking, going forward, the kid has something special.
Mind you, he is up against a bit of a speed merchant in Marcelo down that side. Well, I don't think anybody in the US camp was under any illusions that this would be an easy game tonight. And you've got to look at the history book to see that it never usually is. Willian has been absolutely terrific early on for Brazil.
And I think that's the telling sign right now, 14 minutes into this game, Ian. As much as we want to talk about center backs and who your back four is, right now Brazil's running right through the middle of this midfield of the United States.
Here's Marcelo looking to curl in one behind. Again, it's Willian doing the chasing. Because one thing about him is he's a midfield player with flair, but he has all that work ethic that Jose Mourinho drums into his.
He does, but
players.
Look at what I'm talking about, Ian. Here's your two center backs, but this is Bedoya here. He's got to track defensively. So as much as we want to talk about the two center backs, Bedoya loses Willian. Now he's being run at the defense, but now the recognition has to come at the ball off the bar. Just all Brazil in the first 15 minutes of this first half.
And Brett Guzan, who was taken over as the #1 from Tim Howard, even though Howard is now back in the squad after his sabbatical. That's a little subplot going on all the time. Had to be a mere spectator to all of that. Jones, good ball from him. Altidore started well. On the plus side for the USA, they've looked quite bright going forward early on. Fabinho in his third cap, getting that one away. Now here's Tim Ream. Alejandro Bedoya. Switch of roles. That looked like handball, but a good advantage play by the referee. It was foul to an American player, but it was given away rather wastefully, in all honesty. Brazil absolutely determined to rebuild their reputation as the kings of world football, but I think Miranda's got a bit of a problem at the moment, and that's why the ball's been hit out of play, so he can be treated. Of course, 6 substitutes are allowed, so they won't take any kind of chances. While that treatment's going on, don't forget we'll have Mexico in action against Argentina later for you. Tonight, 10:30 Eastern on ESPN2, and watch ESPN as well, presented by AT&T. That is a fascinating game, and you can assess Mexico's form ahead of that October the 10th clash at the Rose Bowl. Your early verdict is what, Taylor?
I think this is exactly the game we expected, isn't it? Brazil was going to throw numbers forward. Brazil was going to put the United States on their heels defensively, and then what can they do on the counter? We've seen it a couple times. I think you hit the nail on the head, Ian. The couple of times the United States have kept possession, played into the feet of Josie Altidore, maybe find Yedlin getting to the end line. They've had a couple of good spells, but right now defensively in the midfield, especially with Bedoya and Jones, they're having a difficult time with Brazil here.
Games coming up for the United States, as we've been reminding you. Big game against Mexico will decide who goes to the Confederations Cup on October the 10th. 3 days later, Costa Rica at the Red Bull Arena. Then the start of the World Cup qualifying campaign, a bit early that. The winner of the game between Aruba and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Second leg tonight of that one. Looks like St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be the opponents. It's early, isn't it? 2 years and 7 months before the Russian World Cup, you start the qualifying. Gets earlier and earlier. Douglas Costa has a bit of blood on his shirt, and of course under current regulations he will have to change that shirt. And it's Neymar watching on, not happy, doesn't like being on the bench. The word is that we will see him maybe for the whole of the second half, maybe a bit less than that. He wasn't happy about only playing 8 minutes the other night.
No, but he's suspended for the next 2 World Cup qualifiers. So that man right there, Dunga, is using these 2 friendlies as an opportunity to see players that are going to play in those 2 games. I had no problem with it.
Well, I guess it's in the contract, isn't it? But I'm sure some people will say, well, why bring him? Why drag him across the Atlantic if he's only going to play a few minutes in these 2 games? And it's not part of the plan for the time being. He will be back for Brazil's big one against Argentina on November the 13th. Away, by the way, too. Here's Luis Gustavo, who is a survivor from the World Cup campaign. Elias looking to hit that long towards Holt. No Fred anymore. Subject of all kinds of jokes at the World Cup, where he had a bit of a horror story in all honesty, but he wasn't the only one. Willian. Now Fabinho, who plays for Monaco in France. They won't be in the Champions League, which starts next week, knocked out in a playoff against Valencia. Miranda seems to be all right. Here he is. Little flick on by Hulk, and here comes the jet-paced Willian again, who really fancies himself against this US defense. And with some reason early on, Marcelo's ball. That's well dealt with that time by Alvarado. Luis Gustavo. Fast feet from him. I'll tell you something, Taylor. Brazil look like they mean business here. This surface newly laid for the occasion. Dunga had a little bit of criticism about it yesterday after the team had trained here, said he thought it was a bit slow, the bounce wasn't that good.
That's exactly what it is. Any ball over the top or through the back four, it's not going to run out. It plays slow. You're seeing some of the players slip on the near side here. It's a difficult field to play on, but the reality is this, Ian. Brazil doesn't look like they're having that much of a problem.
I was just thinking that. Alvarado gets it away.
You adapt to the situation, you play on, and right now Brazil's doing that.
US looking for their first win over Brazil since their only win over them back in 1998. Cameron's ball wasn't a good one. Luis Gustavo doesn't usually need too many opportunities or pass up many of them to get a foot in and intercept things if you mess it up in midfield.
And it looks like Ian Miranda's injured. I think Marquinhos looks like he's coming off the bench here.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen here.
But I'm watching the movement of Brazil, particularly in the midfield. And as much as we talk about Bedoya and Jones chasing shadows right now, it's important that Michael Bradley gives them support, but also the focus then goes on the communication level of Orozco and Alvarado in behind them.
Cameron, no, not good enough. Easily cut out by Marcelo, and here come Brazil again, and it can take some time to get the ball back again. William with a lovely ball. Douglas Costa-Guzan was a hero that time. The flag was up, though, in the end. It's a lovely piece of thinking by the Brazilians, who were just too quick. Guzan did ever so well. He didn't know it was offside.
And this is why everyone in Europe is just salivating at the thought of Douglas Costa early on with Bayern Munich. So explosive, his recognitions of the run. It's a great run inside. Good play from Brad Guzan, even though he is offside.
I think he's got a cut in the mouth for his pains there.
How about the run, though, from Costa?
Yep, he's so quick and powerful. Well, here's the change. On comes Marquinhos of Paris Saint-Germain to win his 7th cap. Miranda's race is run.
Just look at the run, though, from Costa. He slides right on the inside of Tim Ream, and great recognition from Ream to see the positioning of Alvarado step forward. But Costa's something else.
That was bought by Bayern Munich from Shakhtar Donetsk. With Frank Ribéry injured, you'd have to say they're not missing Ribéry too much with him around. That's one way to stop the blood flowing, isn't it?
That's usually what you do to me at dinner.
Put the gag on, you mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's what's going on in the tennis. Serena Williams has beaten her sister. First set 6-2. It's the latest from there. The game is available on ESPN and Watch ESPN as well.
Did you think Venus had a shot?
I can never work out how those games are going to go between the sisters, if I'm honest with you.
Could you imagine if Venus
I think my money'd always be on Serena
tonight, though?
I think my money'd always be on Serena. Can the US strike back here? What always looked a big task has got mountainous, not only from the scoreline, but what we've seen out there. There is Orozco, who seems to have been around Jurgen Klinsmann's squad. There's high pressure from Gustavo, and Jermaine Jones is struggling to make the kind of impact in midfield alongside Bedoya there. This is Bedoya on the ball now. Got the chance to reinvent himself as a central midfield player, having been used mainly wide. Probably not got the out-and-out pace to play there, so he's used in that other role. But is that going to work? Danny Williams would be another contender, wouldn't he, for that kind of position? Ream's got some work to do here, and he's done it very well. Great piece of work. Bradley.
I think Danny Williams is one. I think Kyle Beckerman's another, Ian, when you talk about playing next to Jermaine Jones. I think those are some of the questions Jurgen Klinsmann has tonight. Thus the reason why Bedoya is next to Jones in this first half.
Bradley's ball trying to get Yedlin in behind, and there's that foot race we were talking about. The Olympian speed of Marcelo against Yedlin. Put your stopwatch on those two.
But it's a test, though, for Yedlin, because he's going up for the first time in his career against a guy that's probably faster than him. So now he's got to time his runs. Now he's got to be a little bit more creative with his runs. Those are the little things Klinsmann wants to watch tonight.
Here's Douglas Costa. He might have the problem bleeding from the mouth, but it isn't stopping him. Not yet. He doesn't get hold of the shot. Guzan's glad about that.
Just not fair. It's not fair.
Well, how good he is.
To run with the ball over 65 yards with two defenders, cut on a dime and having a hit.
He cost about $42 million when he was transferred to Bayern Munich, and you can kind of see why. Certainly gives the team another dimension, and he's powerful too, isn't he, with a low centre of gravity. And this is quite a fearful looking test just at the moment for the USA, trying to get some kind of foothold in this. Bradley. Now Zades. Jones to Bedoya. They did experiment just for a little while with Jermaine Jones as a central defender, trying to extend his international life, as it were, but you get the feeling that idea's rather been forgotten about. It's midfield or nothing. Yedlin. Zades waiting in the middle. Altidore 2. Can Yedlin find an outfield? Bradley arriving late. That's good from the USA. It deserves some end product. Really slick move.
Well, and it's all coming off of Yedlin combining, being smart with his touches, sometimes playing two-touch, then taking on players one-on-one. The maturation of DeAndre Yedlin going forward is right in front of your eyes in 2015. Now his move to Sunderland is going to be a lot on the defensive side of things, but going forward, he's showing something.
He'd be ideally suited to a team playing a 3-5-2 with wing-backs. But not many teams do that, if I'm honest with you. Here's Lucas Lima, captain number 2 for him, the player who plays for Corinthians, one of the big clubs in Brazil. Here he is again, Willian, Holt. Gotta say, Brazil looking very, very decent indeed. The world champions of 1958, 62 and 70 in the Pelé years. Then later in 1994, when Dunga, the coach now, was the captain. 2002, that was Ronaldo's big year. The first Ronaldo, that is, as opposed to Cristiano. Alvarado to Bradley, trying to drop deep to join in the play. I must say, it looks at times as if Bedoya and Jones need his help in that central area, where the Brazilians are pushing up high and not letting Jones or Bedoya settle on the ball. That's a wretched ball forward, to be honest with you. USA cannot afford to squander possession that cheaply.
Well, on one hand, it's Jeff Cameron not recognizing the run from Josie Altidore, but on the other hand, we're 30 minutes into this game, and over the last 18 to 19 minutes, how often have you said Josie Altidore's name?
He started brightly, didn't he?
But this is the kind of game where his hold-up play is so influential in a game like this. When Jeff Cameron, Tim Ream are picking up their heads, he's got to be an option to keep possession.
Making the point, Jurgen Klinsmann, too. He wants some of these young strikers to now really start to make a case for themselves, be the kind who might be able to score every other game at international level. Bradley and Altidore working well together. It was a bit of a luxury touch in the end from Altidore. He was hoping that might work, but it was hope that wasn't fulfilled. Dunga, the Brazil coach, saying we have to have the humility to know how hard we need to work to get back on top in the world game. The Brazilian fans, who are hard to please, would go along with that. don't think anyone in Brazil can still believe what happened that day in Belo Horizonte, the 7-1 result.
Nor should they, though.
I was there and I couldn't believe it, calling the game. I think they got 5 in 18 minutes in one period of the game, Germany. It was almost as if they hardly prepared a thing, and of course it all spelled the end for big Phil Scolari. That's why Dunga's in now.
When it looks like that was why Thiago Silva's not even here.
Yep. Well,
did that play a part in it, though?
A part, but of course with Thiago Silva there was him giving away a penalty in the Gold Cup quarter-final against Paraguay, and making a bit of a fuss as well when the captain took it, taken off him and given a name. Yep. So he's out for the moment. Supposed to be one of the top defenders in the world, but Dunga's not having him. All part of the hundreds of stories that go on around the Brazil team, it seems, all the time. Now Cameron is well spotted by David Luiz, and they want the counter here, and they've got the speed to do it too. William. The overlapping run, Lucas Lima trying to find Hulk, cut out by Orozco. The defenders are not frightened to join the attack either. Luis Gustavo. Knocking the ball around with some confidence. Since Dunga took over, the only defeat was at the Copa America, in normal time that is, not including shootouts, against Colombia. That was the game where Neymar got sent off. Had arguments going on in the tunnel about it all afterwards, and that's why he can't play the first two of the long World Cup qualifying campaign in South America. Here's Willian again. Now Lucas Lima. Good challenge, an important challenge from Bedoya. That's what the US need. They need to break up that play in there as much as they can. Not easy. Just finding these pockets of space. The US can't really get near them. The danger is you can just become bewildered and hypnotized by these passing patterns. I'd like to see the possession stat. We'll try to give you one of those at some point here, but Brazil have had, well, more than the lion's share of the ball. Marcelo, no, nobody'd read that one. The US Soccer International Friendly is presented by AT&T. DirecTV and AT&T are now one, bringing television and wireless together. USA 0, Brazil 1. The goal in the 9th minute, scored by Hulk.
I just saw Jurgen Klinsmann pull Danny Williams from a warm-up to put his jersey on immediately.
They do need extra help in there in shielding their defense, there's no question. Fabinho has got the better of Tim Ream here. Oh, and well played by Orozco to get that away from under the bar almost. Nearly broke back to Hulk again. Brad Guzan might have a busy night. He probably knew that going in. That'll be interesting if Danny Williams is brought on as early as this.
He's getting ready to come in here, Ian, and you just wonder, this first half against Brazil, a lot has gone right through Jones and Bedoya. And listen, I'm not saying it's all on Bedoya or Jones, because you've got two new center backs behind them that maybe the communication's not there. But right now, that block of four centrally on the defensive side of things, it's not there for the United States.
It's a pity they don't have Kyle Beckerman around, isn't it? Because that's his territory. That's what he does. He sits in front of defenses, breaks things up. I'm not saying he would have stemmed the tide here, but he is a specialist in the position.
Keep an eye on these little runs that Josie Altidore, Jeff Cameron will try to make. One of them will try to pick the defender of the other.
Bradley has too
not good
much
enough.
meat on it for everybody.
And Michael knows it. Michael Bradley knows it because Josie Altidore on that back post, we've seen it so often for Toronto.
Well, it's going to be Danny Williams for Alejandro Bedoya, and this early, and I think this is Jurgen Klinsmann saying this isn't working. I need someone else in there. It's tough on Bedoya that to get hooked, to use the language of the professionals this early in a game.
No, and this changes the tactics of the United States a little bit, because now Danny Williams is very similar to the guy you just brought up in Kyle Beckerman. He'll sit there, he'll clog up the holes, but the problem necessarily isn't in that spot. It's William wide. He's coming inside, so then Tim Ream, he has to pass him on. No one's picking up that central movement from William in the middle.
Yeah, I think apart from everything else as well, Taylor, they need more pace in there as well, because they've got some very pacey, powerful types, Brazilians, making runs through that area. So whether Williams can do something about that, we are about to find out. It's Soccer Sunday on ESPN this week, a battle for 3 points in the MLS, with playoffs looming, of course. Toronto against New England Revolution, Sunday 5 o'clock on ESPN2, and on Wednesday tune in for an MLS special edition presented by Audi. Toronto battling New York City FC next Wednesday 7:30 on ESPN2.
And right away, Danny Williams coming into this game, miscommunication with Bragazan, sloppy giveaway in the back.
Here's Luis Gustavo. I tell you what, Jurgen Klinsmann might be happy this is only one at the moment, because it could be worse. They just can't get a hold on him at all. William. Marcelo with pace. And it's well defended and well watched by Alvarado. Lucas Lima. Well, I'll tell you what, however difficult that game is against Mexico to decide who goes to the Confed Cup in Russia a year before the World Cup, it can't be as hard as this.
No, but it's also at a timing where, listen, I said it in the opening, and we may be at the tipping point. Pressure's on, pressure builds, and in a performance the way this first half has gone for the United States, listen, you've seen it from Jurgen Klinsmann. He's made a sub in the 35th minute. The first half of a friendly here at the end.
I think he had to do it too. Williams with maybe a bit more mobility as well. He's had a good few months. He's a regular in the Reading side, doing okay early on in the championship. And of course he played at Wembley last season in the FA Cup semi-final against Arsenal. I mean, with Williams, Taylor, he's had his chances before. Sometimes he's taken them, sometimes he hasn't. But he's got a chance to move on here, hasn't he?
Well, he does, and I think we've seen a different William tonight, because he's coming inside. He's had a little bit more freedom than I think we've seen previously with him in a Brazil national team jersey. He's been very good tonight. But the staple of Dunga and his coach, look at the defensive shape of Brazil right now. Two defensive midfielders in front of that back four.
I think it's fair to say that if Dunga had been the coach for that game against Germany, I'm not saying that they wouldn't have lost the game, but it wouldn't have been 7-1. And he has his teams usually very well set up. Lovely ball, Lucas Lima. And look at William outpacing Ream on that side. This time, Elias trying to get the ball through.
You're just watching the United States, Ian, defensively. You wonder, because they're being outnumbered with runners coming out of the midfield, why not go three in the back here?
Well,
you know, it's a suggestion, obviously, with U.S.-Mexico coming in a month, but you're outnumbered in the midfield right now. Why not put an extra number in there?
I think he needs all the defenders he can get out there as well at the moment, too.
But the momentum is starting in the midfield, and it's getting forward, and now your back four is chasing shadows.
Here's Danny Williams. Now Bradley. Zardes. Bradley couldn't quite latch onto it. Quick feet, he nearly got his way through there. And away comes David Luiz, who loves to foray forward, and he gets a deflection off the referee. You don't see that very often. Nice little 1-2 with the ref. They're pulling all the tricks here now. I'll tell you what, William, by some distance, has been the best player on the pitch in this half. He's running the game. Lucas Lima. Look at the space out here for Marcelo. Whoa, got hold of that. Strong hands, Brad Guzan. He can hit them.
Well, and anytime you see a back four pointing fingers to the midfield, you're just chasing players. You see Orozco get dragged into the midfield. Jeff Cameron then has to tuck on the backside to cover. It just leaves a simple ball for Lucas Lima over the top to find Marcelo running onto it. Just the freedom of movement is just killing the United States right now.
Look at the room here again. William giving room for the shot. It goes over. Guzan has a little word for the defenders in front of him. Now then, Monica Gonzalez, our touchline reporter, can give us a little more insight closer down to the dugout area.
Well, Ann, I've been watching the back line and listening to the back line, obviously very closely with two new center backs. Curious to see and hear who is going to be the center back that's leading back there and talking the most. And it's been the Club America center back, Ventura Alvarado. Not communicating a whole lot, but he has been very energetic with his play, and he's laid into guys a couple of times. Ian, back to you.
I should think some of the communication might have been help.
Time.
12th cap tonight for Ventura Alvarado. Now here's Yedlin. Look at Douglas Costa getting back, double bank marking. Brazil working ever so hard when they don't have the ball as well. Danny Williams. And the USA fans, led by the American Outlaws, the famed fan group, trying to get the team going here. But the job is largely a defensive one. I think they've got to just try to hang on in there, get to half time, have a bit of a rethink about it. Make no mistake, Brazil could do this to a few teams. It's Douglas Costa again, and he's getting out his box of tricks now. There's Lucas Lima. Looks like he's been playing in that midfield forever, doesn't he? He hasn't. Here's Danny Williams. Now Michael Bradley, cap number 106 for him. He's in the top 10 now on appearances. Got a way to go to catch Kobe Jones's 164. Bradley, Zardes.
But see the difference right there from the United States and Brazil. When Brazil's got a midfielder on the ball, he's got 4 or 5 options. Michael Bradley, Jazzy Zardes were the only two attacking the back 7 of Brazil defensively. And that's just because for 45 minutes you've defended for your life. And at the World Cup, you and I left Brazil over a year ago, Ian. We said at some point at the highest level there has to be some form of possession for the United States.
They can't get the ball here, can they?
No, you just can't weather the storm and try to play for the counter for 90 minutes. You just can't do it.
Danny Williams. And somebody to show themselves, and it's a heavy touch from Yedlin, which gives the ball away. The former Seattle Sounders man can't afford that. Got to be honest about it, the US taken to school a bit in this first half.
Yeah, I mean, they've had maybe a couple of half chances going forward. Yedlin, Josie Altidore, Michael Bradley and whatnot, but It's been the Douglas Costa and Williams show for Brazil going forward. And under the radar has been Lucas Lima in the midfield, having the freedom to dictate the tempo of the game in the middle.
William, lovely ball off the outside of the foot. Lucas Lima. Fabinho really fell for Douglas Costa, didn't quite. Marcelo's in there this time. He still got it. He still got it. And then Guzan to the rescue for the US, but they fancy this big time, Brazil. Jurgen Klinsmann said often to us, hasn't he, when we've had little chats with him, this team have got to know how to be nasty sometimes.
Well, remember 3 years ago at FedEx Field in DC, those were the controversial comments. After that game, he said, we got to become more nasty. And all that is having more bite and standing up and making sure Brazil doesn't get the rhythm that we've seen in the first 45 today.
Coming up on the 5-hour Energy halftime report, first half highlights and a preview of that big game for Mexico against Argentina, which we have live here on ESPN2 later tonight. There's quite a bit to talk about, you've probably gathered. Here's Ream. He's an out-and-out defender, really. He isn't going to be an overlapping left back. Because the US could do with Fabian Johnson getting fit again as well for that Mexico game. Probably coming at right back. That's nicely done by Bradley. Now here's Yedlin. He's got to get the cross and delivery right. It wasn't the worst one. And towards Altidore. And that is half-time. And I'll tell you something. The US will be glad that's only one, Taylor.
Yeah, they had a couple half chances going forward, but this first half was all about the rhythm, the movement of Brazil going forward, especially with the movement coming out of the midfield. The United States had their hands full defensively.
The goal by Hulk after 9 minutes. There might have been more. Brazil ran the show. Jurgen Klinsmann has a lot to think about. Let's get some analysis now. Let's take it back to Max.
Thank you, Ian. And as Taylor pointed out, the USA chasing some shadows out there. And if there were any reports of the demise of Brazilian soccer, it has been greatly exaggerated here with Rubens and Casey. We knew it was going to be a challenge. And you knew there'd be times when the U.S. would chase the Brazilians around. How did you see the U.S. defensive performance earlier?
Well, I think it really was kind of a bending without completely breaking. Yes, you know, Brazil are going to dominate possession. They're going to dominate possession against most teams in the world. You kind of expected that a little bit. I think at times where I think Jurgen Klinsmann will be a little bit disappointed that when the U.S. did have the opportunity to get the ball out, they maybe gave the ball away just a little bit too cheaply, which just kind of kept them on their back foot. Then you took the pace of Douglas, you took the pace of William, and that really made the difference out wide for Brazil.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with Casey. It was nice to see Brazil being calm in the middle, changing passes, using William as a way out, always as a way out to reach the box. Hulk scoring again. I believe that it was a pretty much nice, pretty much good first half.
It is Hulk, I told you.
Yes, yes.
One goal. And as Ian pointed out, William, I don't think you're going to get any debate from us down here. It was the best player on the pitch. When we return, first half highlights, the U.S. trailing the Seleção 1-0.
Welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Halftime Report.
Huge Brazilian contingent here, and you see the signage towards Hulk. And we were talking off air, Casey, a very appropriate nickname. He wears it very well.
Very well.
He scored the goal here for Brazil, and it came off a U.S. mistake.
Yeah, there's a little miscommunication between Yedlin and Jermaine Jones, and that kind of just shifts the defense all over the place. But give Willen all kinds of credit. He's used his pace. He's tormented the U.S. Gets a little bit fortunate on the mishitted cross. It falls straight to Hulk. Good composure from the big man in the middle.
It is Hulk's mission on the field. Wait for a good moment of William, Elias, or Marcelo. Be there on the right time, on the right place.
Slams it home. Early strike. The United States continue to absorb some pressure, although they did have some looks of their own.
Well, yeah, and then this is great from DeAndre Yedlin, not keeping his head down after the missed pass. He gets in the attack, finds Michael Bradley, doesn't quite connect with the shot, but the U.S. had their opportunities. And then Marcelo. The pace again. Marcelo just too much space out wide. Took advantage of it. Good shot against Brad Guzan. Brad Guzan does well. He has the angle, stands up strong, makes the save.
Yeah, and he was complaining about Hulk that he wasn't there.
Hey, good news. The United States have been a great second-half team, outscoring teams 18-4 in their last 11 games. Wins in Germany, wins against the Netherlands. Why not here? When we return, preview of Argentina, Mexico.
This halftime report is presented by 5-Hour Energy Shots. Welcome back to the 5-Hour Energy Halftime Report.
Back here at Gillette Stadium, Brazil with a goal from Hulk, or Hulk, lead at 1-0. How locked in are the United States and Mexico for October 10th? USA prepares with a game against Brazil. Mexico goes against Argentina. I call that a push. That's coming up next at 10:30 Eastern Time, right here on ESPN2 for a preview. Fernando Palomo, Alejandro Moreno in North Texas.
Last test match for the Mexican national team prior to facing the U.S. in a month's time in that Confederations Cup playoff. Alejandro Moreno, what would you do tonight if you're Ricardo Ferretti when you're facing the #1 ranked team in the world?
Well, I'll go to something that I know works with this national team, and it has to be the back three. They played with a back four against Trinidad and Tobago. That wasn't very convincing. And if you play with a back three and you're Mexico, that means that the center back for this team will be once again Rafa Marquez. Team captain will have the option to step into the middle of midfield when he needs to. Will be able to read the play and anticipate the play. He will have to lead this back line if Mexico will have any chance. Not only winning tonight, but more importantly, advancing past the United States.
They're facing a lethal attack led by Lionel Messi tonight, a player we presume will not go the full 90. The pitch conditions are certainly going to play a factor.
And of course, Argentina will present challenge not only with Lionel Messi, but the talented players that they have in the final third. They will test that back line of Mexico. We'll see how Mexico reacts.
Arlington is ready to see Mexico and Argentina face each other tonight.
We look forward to that. Hulk with the goal. The difference. May see Neymar here in the second half. The U.S. will make some adjustments as well. Second half kickoff next.
This halftime report is presented by 5-Hour Energy Shots.
Welcome back. U.S. men's national team action presented by AT&T. Players back on the pitch. Brazil with a 1-0 lead. Let's send it back up to the booth. Ian and Taylor.
Well, the USA are being outclassed so far, and you know the frightening thing, Brazil haven't used Neymar yet.
No, no, and I suggested in the first half they should go to 3 in the back. Ideally, you don't want to play 3 in the back against the United States, but this was the Brazil we remember from years past. They completely outclassed the United States through numbers forward, and particularly in the midfield for the United States. They were chasing shadows in that first 45.
It's hard to know really what Jurgen Klinsmann can do about this. You got any ideas? Well, we'll find out, because Jurgen Klinsmann is talking now with Monica Gonzalez. Not happening. Well, we seem to have some problems there contacting Jurgen Klinsmann. I think we can hear from him now. Back to Monica.
Coach, can you tell us the first half? You subbed Alejandro Bedoya out, Danny Williams in. What were you looking for in that substitution?
Yeah, we needed to be a little bit more compact, organized. Ale had a little bit of problems getting into his rhythm, into his game, and there's no much time that you can give him. And if you see that clearly that we are not getting that well into the game, we got to make a sub.
Right now, what are you looking for from Bobby Wood coming into the game?
No, to be courageous, to go at them, to give him a shot. You know, I think, you know, overall it was all right. Obviously, you know, conceded an early goal, but then you now need to believe that you can score as well.
Thank you very much, Coach.
You're welcome.
Guys, back to you.
So Bobby Wood is on, and Jassi Zardes has come off. That's the second substitution. Bobby Wood, of course, is the young Hawaiian striker who scored last-minute winners away from home against the Netherlands and Germany just a couple of months back. So he's made a bit of a name for himself, and he's got another chance to do exactly that here, Taylor.
Yeah, he's got to come into this game and have an impact on it. Chase, you know, Fabinho, get in behind. But to go back to the Bedoya sub, in fairness to Alejandro Bedoya, Ian, he was being played out of position. You know, he doesn't have the range to be next to Jermaine Jones and cover that space. So I think Danny Williams is in a better spot next to Jermaine Jones. And Jurgen made that assessment and made that substitution.
Brazil have Neymar on as well. You might have just recognized his run with the number 10 shirt on, the iconic number 10 of Brazil, as worn by Pelé, Zico, Ronaldinho, and many others. Well, he wanted some action. He only got 8 minutes against Costa Rica, and he's getting 45 this time. And here they come again with Marcelo breaking. And Guzan is glad to pounce on that at the last minute. But the USA, among other things, are getting outpaced as well by the Brazilians. Here's Altidore. Can the US get anything going forward? Cameron's long ball. Here is Bobby Wood, looking for the little chest down. William that's come off, and I tell you something, the US will be glad to see the back of him, because he ran the US defense ragged at times in that first half.
You say that like Neymar's has stepped down.
Yeah, exactly. Just that Neymar then to come in his place. This Cameron drifts one off the outside of the boot towards Altidore. Lucas Lehmann, that's hustled out of it well by Danny Williams, who's done okay since he's come on in there. There's no doubt about it, Williams has matured a little bit over the last year or two. Now here's Yedlin. Again, Altidore was unable to latch onto it, but used his strength to win the ball back pretty well there. Bradley. Yedlin. Cameron. It's interesting, Yedlin's played more games for the USA over the last year than any other player. Bradley. US looking to play higher up the pitch, high pressing game that will carry its risks, but they have to do something different. David Luiz. Now Paris Saint-Germain. Look at that for a pass. How about that? Cameron was out of position. Neymar behind him of all people. Goes down. Penalty. Referee had no doubt about it. 1 or 2 US protests. But what a ball from David Luiz to set all that up in the first place.
Just watch this. I mean, you're talking a ball over 55, 60 yards on an absolute dime with Jeff Cameron out of position. And now the question is Michael Roscoe screaming at the top of his lungs to get Jeff Cameron back into position because Neymar is sitting on an island by himself. How about that ball from David Luiz?
Neymar's only been on the pitch for about 4 minutes. Already he's caused some havoc. And now he's going to take a penalty kick. He scored a penalty the last time the two countries met in a 4-1 win in Landover, Maryland. It's the long run-up, as usual, from him. And he got there via the fingertips of Guzan, who's beating the turf almost in frustration because he nearly saved that. Goal number 45 in a Brazil shirt for Neymar. That's 45 in 67 games. Not much doubt he will one day beat Pele's record of 77. Look at that ball.
I mean, that's just that's world class, Ian. But you look at the space that Neymar has. How is he wide open? Is Michael Roscoe screaming for Jeff Cameron to return? Brad Guzan does a wonderful job of holding his ground, reading it, and any goalkeeper will tell you, a PK that hits you in the fingertips, unlucky.
Yeah, he's quite frustrated, I think, about that, Guzan. I tell you what, Neymar never looks that confident, does he? When he takes a penalty, it's a long and winding road he takes. I watched him doing some in training, and he missed about half of them. But he scored when it mattered there to build on his remarkable record. Now the captain of Brazil as well, by the way. (2-0) to Brazil. Douglas Costa. Looks like the Liverpool player Roberto Firmino has come on as well while we weren't looking. You need eyes in the back of your head with this 6 substitution rule allowed in friendlies. Brazil didn't make any until the 67th minute the other night against Costa Rica. They've started early tonight. There's no doubt about it at all. It was a penalty all day, every day and every night for Cameron's challenge. So goals early in the first half and now early in the second half for the Brazilians, who are on easy street, really. And away goes Douglas Costa. Oh, now then, that's going to be a definite yellow card for Michael Orozco, who just wanted to take him out, gave the ref no choice. That's all he could do.
Just so explosive, though. Exactly, Ian. Just so explosive in tight spaces. Look how quickly Douglas Costa gets out of that. So now Michael Orozco's in absolute no man's land because he can't do anything whatsoever with Costa building the momentum, running right at him. Great combination play through the middle.
Looks some player, doesn't he? Now, I reckon David Luiz is going to hit this, you know, with his laces. I've seen him score with these in the past, notably in his days with Chelsea. He has a way of hitting the ball straight so that it dips in front of the goalkeeper, making life really hard. It's about the right range if he can get it past the wall.
Keep an eye on the surface right in front of Brad Guzan.
It is Luiz. It doesn't dip in time. I gave him too big a build-up. Always happens, doesn't it? from what we're seeing here, there's not too much doubt that Brazil are on the road to redemption. I'm not really sure that Alvarado wanted that ball there under pressure from his goalkeeper. Well, that big game against Mexico, and is an important one for United States soccer, is a month or so away. This, at the moment, is just proving a bit of a chastening experience for the US. Firmino, Lucas Lima. That's a yellow card for Danny Williams. That's 2 yellows in the space of a couple of minutes for the US. Now, was it just clumsy or was it cynical? Yeah, he's stretched out.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's yellow, isn't it?
I think it's important to mention, though, Fabian Johnson, DeMarcus Beasley, Clint Dempsey, Kyle Beckerman. You're talking about October 10th versus Mexico. You're talking about a back 4. If Fabian Johnson and DeMarcus Beasley are healthy, you're talking about 2 veterans that slot right into this back 4.
Neymar towards the back post. And you can see what the idea was there. Firmino, it was they were aiming at, and he was looking to just head it back across the face of goal for a tap-in. Didn't quite work out that way. It's a corner instead. We're almost battling for respectability here at the moment, the United States.
Away!
Firmino with a header. An update on the tennis, by the way. The Williams sisters meeting each other, and Serena is leading 4-2 in the 3rd and decisive set, 1 set all. That match is on ESPN, and watch ESPN as well. Josie Altidore is substituted here, and on comes the Stanford University student Jordan Morris, aged 20. Not even a professional footballer, but Jurgen Klinsmann thinks he might be quite something. Coming on in the number 8 shirt. Well, how about that? Stanford University 1 week.
How about
playing Brazil the next week?
How about his first economics class next week? Hey, what'd you do last week? I just played Brazil. What'd you guys do this summer?
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, Ian, Jordan Morris has to become a pro. If he wants to play in the 2018 World Cup in Russia and be a part of this team, he's got to make that decision and make that transition very quickly here.
You'd think he'd get an offer or two, and he's already had an offer or two. Hasn't taken any of them as yet. Here's Jermaine Jones.
Forward!
Alvarado. It's a rare foray forward for the United States. Period of just possession would be something, keeping the ball. Ream. Good so far. Bradley. Well, that's a nice move from the US. More like it. Away goes Neymar again. Part of that wonderful Barcelona strike force alongside Luis Suarez and Lionel Messi. He has to make do with the number 11 shirt at Barcelona. You know who gets 10. Bobby Wood. Fabinho rather too easily nicked it away from him. Is this a damage limitation job now, Taylor?
I think it is. You know, on the other hand, though, is it also a situation where Jurgen Klinsmann looks at it and says, I'd like to get Bobby Wood, Jordan Morris some experience here, get Danny Williams into the fray. Just get as many minutes and as much experience as they can.
What the US need is goals, and I'm sitting alongside the man who scored more goals in this stadium than any other footballer ever, Taylor Twellman. 57 you got. Did you know that?
No.
I bet you did.
Good research.
Bet you did.
I got all 57 on my iPhone if you want to see them.
It wasn't me who did the research, it was Mark Connolly sitting alongside me. You can buy him a drink of some sort later. Chance would be something, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Neymar. Brazilians just pushing it around and doing almost as they please. And one of the things that might please them most is to add to the goal tally.
So what did you tell me in the first half? Jermaine Jones would only play 60 minutes?
Well, that was the thought, and we're coming up to that now. We'll see in a minute what happens. Here is Jordan Morris. Needs a bit of support up there alongside him. Josie Altidore substituted within the hour after his 2 goals the other night. Lots of thinking for him to do, Jurgen Klinsmann, in what is still very much a transitional phase. Because the Landon Donovan era is long gone. Clint Dempsey has a bit of an injury at the moment. Although he played and scored at the weekend, it was decided not to risk him here, look after him long term. Douglas Costa. It's a poor ball, and it does actually give the chance for the US to counter if they can get man forward quickly here. Danny Williams. Bobby Wood on this side. Bradley. Now of Toronto after his adventures in various parts of Europe. Yeglin's cross. Morris did get there. And Wood goes to the ground. In history, Brazil lead the USA by 37 goals to 11. Going back over all the meetings, just that one USA win, the 1998 one, when Casey Keller was in goal, Alexi Lalas was in the team, John Hartz, Frankie Haydock, Kobe Jones, Joe Max Moore, Eric Winalda, Roy Wegerle, Mike Burns, Eddie Pope, and Jeff Agus. Those were the heroes who beat the boys from Brazil that day. Preki came on as a sub and got the winner. And Mike Burns works here, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Now, yeah.
General manager of the New England Revolution.
2 subs for Brazil coming up shortly. Tell you about those as and when they happen. Neymar. Marcelo muscled out of it by Danny Williams, who's done his best to try and get among the Brazilians and ruffle them a little bit. Douglas Costa tried to flick it through for Neymar, and the US do get a free kick to relieve things. So we're going to see Lucas Moura, once the world's most expensive teenager. I think the deal that takes Anthony Martial to Manchester United has gone past that, and Lucas Lima it is who comes off.
I thought he was very impressive today,
yeah.
Particularly in the first half. He dictated the tempo of the game. He came inside consistently on the ball. I thought Lucas Lima was very good.
And off comes...
this guy was okay.
Yeah, more than okay, wasn't he? And on comes Rafinha of Barcelona. He started 13 games in La Liga for them last season. Son of Mazinho, played for Brazil in the '94 World Cup winning side. Now then, Yeglin. Bradley was arriving. Bobby Wood, no, it's not going to happen. Straight away, the Brazilians are able to break it all up. Look at Lucas Moura here. And there might be something by way of the 3rd goal, and yes there is. Rafinha, almost with his first touch, has scored for Brazil. 3-0. US undone by another lightning break.
And it's coming right off DeAndre Yedlin, bombing forward, having a wonderful opportunity to deliver a dangerous ball in. Great turn to get Marcelo turned the other way, but he makes the wrong decision trying to play Michael Bradley. A late touch from Bobby Wood, and now you're off to the races. Now look at your two center backs. Alvarado, Orozco, are you organizing your back line? Danny Williams can't get any pressure on the ball. And then this is just something special from Rafinha.
Yeah, his quick feet did it at the end there, didn't it?
But look, that little shimmy just to get Tim Ream leaning the other way, and it's any which way possible. He can get the ball in the back of the net.
His first goal for Brazil. Fernandinho of Manchester City is going to come on to replace Luis Gustavo. That's one defensive midfield player for another. Fernandinho started the other night. He's been in good goal-scoring form at the start of the season for Manchester City in their 100% style. He scored 2 in the first 4 games, 1 against Chelsea, and a very good strike against Watford. So he's on now as well. Well, can Brazil resume normal service? The US giving the ball away and in danger of unraveling a little bit here. Lucas Moura trying to find Neymar. Taylor, what does all this mean for the US ahead of the Mexico game? It's not great, is it?
No, it can't be. You serious with that question?
Yeah.
I mean, this is it.
I was hoping you might elucidate. And
I mean, you're talking about a team that's on the ropes right now, confidence-wise, a team that dropped the ball against Jamaica in the Gold Cup semifinal. You didn't want to come out tonight and lay an egg. It doesn't matter about the result. It matters about the type of performance in there. But, Ian, I'm going to answer your question with another one. If they come back October 10th and beat Mexico, are we talking about this game? And I think we still should be. Because at the World Cup level, these are the teams you have to play.
Eventually, yeah. Get that far in the competition.
So that's great. You qualified for a Confederations Cup and you beat Mexico in the Rose Bowl. And I get that. It's an important game. It's a massive game. I understand that. But in the grand scheme of things, the Belgiums, Colombias, Brazils of the world, that's who you need to beat.
A dissolving defense there. Moura through to Neymar. He surely won't mess it up. He doesn't usually. He hasn't. Neymar, his second of the night. And the USA here are being taken apart. Well, this is becoming an extremely dispiriting experience for the USA team and camp. But I tell you what, there are lots of Brazilian fans here who are loving it.
And a sour taste that's going to remain in their mouths for a month before this Mexico game, October 10th. Look at how easy it is for the United States to lose their markers, to lose possession in the midfield, and then just have 3, 4, 5 yellow shirts running around. Look at how easy that is for Neymar. It's one cut, no defender around him. It's been way too easy for Brazil tonight.
Well, that was almost memo to defense. You are allowed to tackle. Well, Jurgen Klinsmann will be horrified by that, because it's one thing to be outclassed, but there was a semblance of a challenge, not on Lucas Moura, who ran through almost as he wanted to set up a goal. He's got 2 assists since he came on, and Neymar just danced around about 3 people and plunked it in. Bradley. Here's Morris. I'm going to say looking to save face and pride a little here. Yedlin. Danny Williams looking for some movement ahead of him. This is where these USA players wearing that blue shirt out there really do have to show some pride and character and fight in what remains of this game. They can't win it, they're going to be beaten, and they're going to be beaten heavily, but professional pride dictates that they at least make some kind of argument. But Williams is dispossessed, and here's Marcelo for Brazil, and he's got many options ahead of him. He's fallen here for Firmino, and now Lucas Moura.
It's like a track meet. I mean, the moment the ball turns over, they've got 4 or 5 numbers going forward.
USA literally chasing shadows, it seems, at the moment. There could be even another goal here.